I'm Mamta Chopra, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to this plenary session. We have a very high-profile panel here, and we're all going to delve deep into the topic of the plenary session, which is reflections on India's progress through women-led development and global lessons that India can draw. हम सभी जानते हैं कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का विजन ही यही रहा है कि विकसित भारत का लक्ष्य महिलाओं के लिए
This is the vision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, that how we can achieve the target of developed India by 2047 with inclusive participation by women. And this particular session will discuss all these aspects of how India has achieved various targets with respect to the women-led development, and also focus on what India can learn from several practices with similar approach in various other countries. We have on the dais Shrimati Annapurna Devi, Minister of Women and Child Development, Shri Arjun Lal Reghwal, Minister of State, Independent Charge for Law and Justice, Ms. Anna Beate, Managing Director of World Bank Group, and the Secretary in the Ministry of Women and Child Development, Shri Anil Malik. I welcome all of you. The life of Union Minister for Women and Child Development, Annapurna Devi, is also an example in itself for the achievements made by women in the recent past. This is also a very important aspect here, that we have the opportunity of having a discussion with Ms. Annapurna Devi. The overall development of women is only possible if, and they will be empowered only if a focus can be put on their educational, financial inclusion and overall societal development. Honorable Minister, what all can be done? The question raised by Mamta ji is a very significant one. Our constitution provides right to equality to everyone. Specifically, in the past 10 odd years, there have been several impactful schemes which have been put in place under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which further empowers the women's standing in the education and financial sectors. This is women-led development. In the G20 summit also, which happened in India under the Indian presidency, Prime Minister had also pointed out various such works which have been put in place by his government. In the field of women empowerment. Some notable examples include Mudra Yojana. Approximately 70% of the beneficiaries are women. As far as labor force participation is concerned, this was around 23% in 2017-18, which has increased to 41% recently. The Janadhan accounts are also a very significant tool, Approximately 80% of women now have Jan Dhan accounts, including to financial inclusion through NRLM and self-help groups. At least 10 crore women have become self-reliant. They have either become Lakhpati Didis, that is millionaires, and or become drone Didis. So all these, including Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Har Ghar Nal Yojana, and several other schemes, are focused on women and their development. Other notable examples include the increase of seats for girl students in Sainik schools and also permanent commission for women in armed forces. So, women are moving ahead on the path of development by utilizing various schemes being launched by the Government of India. PM Disha has contributed significantly towards digital saksharta. As far as STEM is concerned, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the participation of women has increased gradually and sustainably. So, under Prime Minister's guidance in the last 10 years, there have been several such programs which are being run by various departments in the government for gender-led development, that is women-led development. There has been an increase of approximately 8.5% in the gender budget. In higher education, at least 2 crore 18 lakh women have enrolled in various courses. And the most important aspect is the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam, that is the legislation focusing on reservation for women, which was passed in the first session of the new parliament building, so that women are in a position to take decisions. They are part of the decision making process. Also, the unicorns and startups led by women is another example of how they are making their mark in the world of business and entrepreneurship. Women have been empowered and become self-independent in various parts of the country, in various sectors, and they have made their mark in every field which they have entered, and they're moving ahead with a strong pace. The surveys being conducted by various agencies, both Indian and international, have also indicated that the contribution of women in national development is increasing significantly. But, Honorable Minister, gender equality is a big issue. We have been working on this particular aspect in India, and several reforms have also been brought in. But, Honorable Minister, which is the most significant change which you believe has been brought in? So in 2014, when the Prime Minister took charge of the country as in his first tenure, the significant scheme Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, which was launched then, has ensured that it brings in a very significant change in the societal behavior and the thought process of the society, individuals, and the country as a whole towards how they look at daughters and women per se in terms of their contribution to the family, to the society. Now they are looked upon as significant contributors, and a lot of schemes have been put in place to bring those changes in the thought process of the society, that women can and women do contribute a lot in aspects of development of the country and the society other than the family unit. The government has brought in a lot of schemes in the field of education, in the field of business and entrepreneurship, so that women and young daughters can get all the impetus to make their mark, to move ahead in the choice of their careers and contribute towards the overall development of the country. Definitely, gender equality is an issue which needs to be worked upon from various aspects, and everybody has to put their best foot forward. And the legal system ensures safety and gender equality for women. I'd like to bring in Arjuna Ambegwalji here, that in the last 50 years, several laws have been brought in, several acts have been implemented in our country for ensuring the safety of women. But according to you, how much of a change, a positive change, has been brought in by these laws or acts as far as the safety of the women is concerned? I thank you for bringing this aspect to the notice. We are now discussing about gender just society. As the Minister for Women and Child Development pointed out, that the Prime Minister had launched a movement, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, save the girl child, educate the girl child. This has contributed very significantly to gender equality, and a very remarkable progress has been made. There is a related act that is known as PNDT Act. The implementation, successful implementation of PNDT Act has also played a very important role in ensuring women empowerment. Both at the district level and at the judiciary also, the interpretation of the laws made by the government of India have also ensured that gender just society becomes a core idea, and gender equality is also a very significant part of our constitution. We brought 3 new laws from 1st of July 2024. Several new changes have been brought in under Prime Minister Modi's leadership, but these are very important changes. First is a women providing evidence in the open court. In the new laws, we have brought in changes which will ensure that women can provide evidence in the court without any fear. I also tried to find out that the changes which have been brought in from IPC to BNS, what is the implication of these new changes? So I found out that this has brought in ease of living as far as the judicial procedure is concerned, the court procedures are concerned for specifically women in cases where women had to provide evidence in the open court. So this I consider as a very significant change. There are various other changes as well. For example, protection of women from domestic abuse, rights for monetary assistance, and several other acts. There are very specialized courts, and the number of women advocates, the number of women becoming either solicitor generals or advocate generals or arbitrators representing the various governments in these courts is also increasing significantly. Their representation in several tribunals as well has been increasing gradually. This is again an indication of our swift march towards a gender just society. I would like to point out a personal question here, Honorable Minister, that you have also brought out a book with your spouse. Therein, I would like to bring in a question to you as well about participation of Indian men. I would like to take 5-7 minutes on this aspect. I used to be an IAS officer before I became minister. During those days, I went for training. Wherein I was asked to write about one person who has influenced in my journey, and I was told only one name has to be written about in 3 hours of almost 50 pages. Someone wrote about their mother, father, their teachers, or themselves. I thought a lot about it. And it has been almost 2.5 hours. The invigilator came in and asked me, do you want to write something or not? So finally, in the end, I wrote my wife's name, Srimati Pana Devi. After lunch, people were joking around saying that perhaps this is one collector who is afraid of his wife. Then I was asked, why have you written your wife's name. Then I told them the entire story. But he was very impressed by one story. That in school, when I used to play football, my teacher asked me whether you brought in the fees of 2 rupees. So I asked from my grandmother, I was denied 2 rupees.
So, but then my wife offered me the 2 rupees, and she used to work as a handicraft person home. She's a good artisan, so she gave me those 7 rupees, the fee to play football. And we didn't have electricity at the time, so she made a product at night under a lamp, and she brought this product. She sold it and gave me 2 rupees and told me, take this. And when I went to this window, and they told me that I was too late, I was 2 minutes late. So I said, I'm here with the money. And the teacher took those 2 rupees and approved my entry. So I would have been kicked out of that school. So I couldn't have become a telephone operator and not an IAS officer, and I would have never become a minister. So that is why I have written that in my journey, the most important contribution is that of my wife. And I wrote this book on my 15th birthday, and the officer said that some people say that my success, my wife is behind it, or some people write about it, but very few. And he asked me, can I write about it? And I promised in the year 98. And in 2018, on the 50th anniversary of my wedding, I fulfilled my promise and I wrote this book about the contribution of my wife.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for bringing in to our knowledge this incident and the message which it conveys to the men of our country and overall all across the world in ensuring their contribution towards the development of women.
Gender equality and women issues throughout her tenure in the World Bank. And Ms. Bearday, I would like to ask you this question. What do you think? Because there are a lot of improvements, transformations regarding welfare of women we've been seeing in India and also outside India. According to you, which are the most important improvements in India and also in the South Asia, which you think are most crucial in making sure or paving the way for the women to move forward and progress?
Thank you so very much, Mamta. And let me first of all wish everyone a very good afternoon, and also wish everyone a very happy International Women's Day, and much appreciation to the previous speakers, and especially thank you for the story of the book and the important role your wife has played. I think that's a beautiful story. And thank you so very much, Mamta, for the question. I think what we have found at the World Bank Group is that we actually have evidence now of what works, and particularly what works to be able to increase women's economic empowerment, reduce the inequality between men and women, and to increase women's labor force participation, which we see as a very important pathway to the economic empowerment. And I'll briefly mention the lessons we have, which reflect work here in South Asia. It also reflects the incredible and significant progress India has made, and I'll use a few examples, if I may. But I'll be quite direct on this. I think the first thing that we hear over and over again is the importance of making childcare available to women. We estimate that about 2/3 of women cite as the main obstacle the lack of access to childcare. And here I'm very, very pleased to mention that we're partnering with the Ministry of Women and Child Development to actually develop a child care policy, which I think will be very helpful here, but also for so many other countries. And it shows India's leadership on an important topic in the rest of the world. That's number one. Number two is to foster asset ownership and financial inclusion. And again, we find that when women can control assets better, whether it be land or financial assets, productivity goes up, income goes up, and women's bargaining power go up. And again, India leads on this, and we heard it from the minister, 80% of females have bank accounts, and that compares to a 68% average in the rest of the world. So India is ahead of the game on this. The third area is actually around digital inclusion. We find that digital inclusion is very important for women to reap benefits, whether it is to access better training or to support financial inclusion. And here we have put some bold targets around this at the World Bank Group, whereby by 2030, we would like to bring an additional 300 million women to have access to broadband infrastructure. Thank you. Access to education, really important. I think also India is leading the way here. It's about starting early. It's about exposing girls early to entrepreneurship opportunities as they become women, and to have market-relevant skills, whether it's in business, soft and hard skill. And I think India here again, the amount of women who are in STEM is impressive. The amount of women, as we saw from the video, who are in what used to be male-dominated careers, women are in India breaking this. And I think we very much also appreciate that. A fifth aspect is access to safe transportation, as well as housing near jobs. This has also proven very important. We know that in India, for example, women are the biggest users of public transport across cities. So this is important. I know you have something called Ladies First buses, where there's a priority boarding, which we think is very interesting. In Egypt, where we have worked extensively, lighting, public lighting has become a real game changer. So we think that's important. And then finally, engaging men for women's economic empowerment. We think that can also change family attitudes towards women's opportunities. So 6 lessons, many of them India is ahead of the game on. Many other countries can learn from India, but we think we know what works and we need to scale and replicate. Thank you.
Well, I must say these are very encouraging words coming back from the World Bank. But at the same time, Ms. Beardy, because when World Bank is working with the various countries, when you're working with your partners, how are you ensuring that women remain the central focus in your interactions, in your programs? And also you've given a list of programs where you feel India can inspire the world. Which program has the most impactful program from India which you think would actually be an example for other countries to follow?
Thank you so very much. So we focus on at 2 levels. One is we really try to make sure that we mainstream gender inclusion in everything we do. So every project, every program we do, we take a gender lens. That's very important. But we have also recently prepared a new gender strategy, and we emphasize 4 different focus areas. One is to elevate women's human capital, education, health, social protection. The second is, as was also mentioned, ending violence against women and girls. That's our second area. The third one is to expand economic opportunities. Many of those are about breaking down those barriers I mentioned before: education, digital, transport. And then the fourth one is actually one that is one of my favorite personal ones, which is to encourage women leadership. And again, it's wonderful to be able to meet so many women leaders when I'm here in India. I always appreciate it. And to see members of parliament, to see chief executive officers, to see ministers, to see business leaders, to see women in the armed forces, to see teachers, to see healthcare workers. Big applause really to all the women here in India in leadership positions playing such an important role. And I don't want to underemphasize what the Honorable President said, which is also the role women play as mothers, because that's also very important in the home to be able to to teach the children and to bring it forward. India has done a lot of things. First of all, one of the few countries around the world that has closed gender gaps in primary and secondary education. That's huge. As I mentioned, the financial inclusion with 80% of women having bank accounts. The third thing I think is a concept that we're using in the rest of the world now, which are the self-help groups. And another notion that's come up in both the statements as well as the video is this concept of moving the narrative from including women in development to women-led development. It's a big difference between the two. And finally, I'll just mention this because I think it's powerful. India has, of course, its ambitious 2047 goal, which we've also talked about this morning. Our analysis shows that if India increases female labor force participation from about 35.6% to 50%, a full 1% can be added to the GDP. And this is huge in such a big economy as India. So I think there's a lot of role for women to play. Thank you.
Yes, indeed, you've highlighted very important points here, Ms. Berde, and the reports also show that, the women in the leadership positions in India is much above the world average of 34%. We have it at 36.5%. So, and the things that you've added onto it, of course, India is leading forward in many ways. हमारे साथ इस वक्त महिला एवं बाल विकास सचिव
We also have with us the Secretary in the Ministry of Women and Child Development, Anil Malik. Honorable Secretary, I'd like to ask from you that there are various schemes which are being run by various departments. And the Prime Minister also talks about ensuring that the benefits reaches all beneficiaries. You must have all the reports coming into you that how significantly implementation part how significant is for these schemes. Honorable ministers have pointed out the details of the schemes which are being put in place by the government. Let me talk about the data here as far as Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao is concerned. The sex ratio at birth has increased significantly, has now reached at 9:33. There is still more to be done. That is, we have to ensure that the sex ratio increases further to at least an ideal position of around 955, 957. Some societies have more than that as well. We are already here at 933, and this is partly or largely attributable to Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. There are several other schemes as well, specifically as far as maternal health is concerned, to ensure the check on female feticide. It was 61% in 2014, and it has further gone up to 81%, although there is still scope for improvement, I believe. And how long girls stay in school? This also correlates to various other parameters such as health. If a girl child stays in the school for a longer time, then there'll be no chances, less chances of child marriage, and there'll be larger chances of her making positive contribution as part of the labor force. As far as STEM is concerned, as far as our ministers have pointed out, we have already achieved an equality between men and women, and this is something which is very phenomenal. %, institutional deliveries is something also which has been achieved approximately. It was around 60% in 2014, and now it is around 98%. This takes care of various aspects as far as infant mortality is concerned. One scheme which the Prime Minister has kept at the center of everything is Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Then this has further added value to various other positive outcomes from other schemes and brought in a behavioral change in the society. There are various schemes. As we were talking about gender budgeting, in the past 10 years, there have been a steady increase in gender budget. There are at least 270 schemes run by 49 central ministries and departments, wherein there'll be a specific expense directed at women or girl child. Now, this is going to be very significant. This is approximately 4 lakh crore out of around 50 lakh crore assigned for these 270 schemes. This is totally focused on female. Of course, there are going to be other funds as well, which will be spent on women-led schemes or women development-related schemes. The state governments and the center has done a lot of work in Prime Minister Modi's leadership. I would also like to point out one anecdote here. I went to a Bhopal Judicial Academy once. There was a training program. We used to think that the CJM and district judge and all these judicial officers, the participation of women is less. But when I went to one training program, in the first batch of state judicial officers, every state has state judicial services. So it was the first batch, and 44% of them were women who became judicial officers. I consider this as a very remarkable achievement. Definitely, this is the impact of schemes which have been started on the grassroots level. Although there are still several challenges which we have to face. For example, the discrimination at workplace or gender violence, equal opportunities for women. These are still challenges which we have to figure the ways out. Can we do something to figure out solutions to this as well? Yes, definitely. Just look at the Indian Constitution, and as the honorable ministers were pointing out, the gender discrimination is barred as far as Indian Constitution is concerned from day one of the implementation of the Constitution. If at all there is an gender discrimination in any part of the society, be it private sector or the public sector, this is prohibited under the Constitution of India. While some other countries, foreign nations, took a long time to bring this into implementation, we have implemented this from day one after we gained independence. As far as government is concerned, the government system is concerned, there is no discrimination at all. And also, there are specific laws to deal with various issues like, gender violence. There are, various issues, ways to deal with the issues if there is a problem in reporting these crimes. SheBox is a platform on which the state government and departments of the central government have already onboarded. Now, the private sector will also be involved in this, and they will have to be onboarded on this. So this basically deals with, if a woman feels that she's been harassed at the workplace, then she can make use of this particular platform and file her complaint. There will be a structured way of addressing her complaint and a time-bound manner in which a decision has to be taken by the committees involved in 60 days. Various solutions. So we have ensured that the implementation of the law related to workplace harassment is more effective. Also, the government of India has brought in a scheme for working women hostel with a capital investment of 5,000 crore rupees. And those who are working in public sector will get an opportunity. And this working women hostel will provide not only accommodation but also safety for the women workers. Uh, Honorable Minister Arjuna Meghwal, we would like to know from you that what kind of picture do you visualize as far as women empowerment in India is concerned? Well, there are several laws in the country, and the laws will work. Their implementation will also be done as the Secretary, Mr. Malik, was also pointing out that the society also needs to work upon its mindset. The society will have to change its mindset. And we will have to bring in awareness campaigns to ensure that these
Ms.
changes
Anna
are.
Biade. Ms. Biade, we, in spite of all the things, the developmental steps which are being taken across the world, there are still the challenges of financial inclusion, though India is working very vigorously in that direction, and also the female participation, labor force participation of female. Can you outline three main areas, main actions which need to be prioritized to overcome the challenges pertaining to these two aspects?
Thank you. So one issue, I think, with financial inclusion is that it's not enough to actually have access to a bank account. Women have to actually have access to capital, because the capital is what enables them to have economic empowerment. So one of the things that we've set as a target for ourselves is also by 2030 to make sure that we can provide 80 million women with access to capital. And here, my colleagues who work for our private sector arm, International Finance Corporation, who are also here today, are going to be focusing on this a lot. So that's one thing. In addition, we find that women who have access, who have financial accounts and access to credit, also need to not just have basic access, but they need to continue to be educated in credit management and business management. So that's one thing, not to be happy only with access to an account, but to go deeper. On breaking down the female labor force participation, I think it goes back to some of those key barriers I mentioned. Childcare, I would add to that in some societies, elderly care, because women, after having taken care of their children, also often take care of their elderly parents, in-laws, family members. So I think having support around that is important. And then I think this whole issue of enabling infrastructure, whether it's transport, housing, land, other facilitative infrastructure, it will be very, very important. But if I may just, as I have the floor, say this: we cannot continue as business as usual. I read that if we continue the way we've been going, at the pace we're going, it will take over 100 years before you have equality between men and women. So I also think we need to wake up every morning with a great sense of urgency and try to get this work done once and for all, so that in 50 years we're having a different conversation. Thank you.
Let's hope that we are able to move forward in the fast pace in that direction. And when you're talking about the capital availability, then India is also setting example, because the various surveys have shown that more than 51% of Indian women are trying to start their business using their own savings. And a leading company has also said that 46% of Indian women have some or the other source of income, which means that they also have access to capital. So India, maybe these stats show that India is leading in this way, but in the end, कार्यक्रम की इस panel discussion के अंत में मैं माननीय महिला एवं बाल विकास मंत्री
panel discussion, I would like to ask a question to the Honorable Minister for Women and Child Development, Ms. Annapurna Devi, that what would be her message to crores of women who are joining us today in celebrating this occasion and ensuring that what all they need to do so that they ensure women-led development. This is a wonderful question on this occasion. On this occasion, I would like to tell all my sisters that this is the time and this is the right time to bring in that change. Our government has done a lot of work and has provided opportunities to women for working in various sectors. The government is standing in support of you. You need to go out there, move ahead, work hard, move forward, make use of the various schemes which have been put in place by the government, and all those efforts made with respect to women empowerment by the government under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi should be utilized by all women. Specifically, lakhs of women have also contributed and are continuing to do so under the Panchayati Raj system. I would like to say on the occasion of International Women's Day that this is the time and this is the right time to make their mark in the society, to contribute more positively towards the development of the country and the nation, and of course make use of several schemes which have been put in place by the Government of India, so that you make a mark for yourself, you make a mark for your family, you make a mark for the society, and you contribute towards development of the country. This is my only message on this occasion. I would like to complete her sentence. This is the time, this is the right time, and this is India's valuable time.
MD World Bank, thank you all so much for gracing this occasion, for enlightening us with all the things that we need to do, and all the achievements that we have been achieving. उम्मीद करते हैं कि इस plenary session के panel discussion से जो और विचार निकलकर सामने आए हैं वो हम सभी को बहुत बहुत प्रेरित करेंगे. लेकिन यहाँ उपस्थित सभी अतिथिगण को मैं बताना चाहूंगी कि अभी 3 टेक्निकल सेशंस होने हैं.
I would like to inform all the dignitaries present here that there will be 3 technical sessions in a short while from now, and all of you should be joining in for those technical sessions after a short break. Yes.
You may all please proceed to hall number 2, 3, and 4 for the respective technical sessions. Thank you so much.